So
Talk about great
can I ask
timing.
you the first question?
You can ask me anything you want.
How does it feel? You finally get your super exclusive interview you've been after for so long, and our PR department and Omar put this together so you could have an interview with Hannah and I and nobody else around. What do you think about that?
Well, that's good because I'm writing a column about you two Wednesday, and you better be really good because it'll be on gallerysports.com, which is free. This is great timing. You guys just had the best draft in Texans history. And so I got to ask you, before we get into that, I want to ask you about scouting because I know you were a scout. So what kind of scout were you and what did you learn from it?
I was a scout. I did not make Eagle Scout, but I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot of things. Scouting teaches so much about leadership and being part of the community. I did learn how to light a really big fire, and I still remember how to tie a bowline knot, so I have those things in my bag of tricks.
Okay, about the draft. Hannah, you told me a story about you guys were you were down to Celebration, 7,000 fans. Then you ended up going back there. Tell that story about how fired up y'all were on Thursday night and what you did.
Well, we first showed up at the event before the draft, a ball of nerves, and we were very excited. We did not know everything that was going to take place. We were hopeful and thankful that it turned out the way it did. But we were in the war room, so we went back to the war room at the stadium before the draft began, and we were in the draft room. And Nick and D'Amico came over and talking to Cal and I before everything happened. They picked Bryce Young, and he comes over, tells Cal what's going to go on, and so all that starts taking place. And I know people think that trade was in place before then, but it was not. And just watching Nick work was incredible and exciting. And it came down to the wire, and we were so fired up, and everyone was so fired up in that room. I was getting videos from the event, and we were so fired up. We went back to the event just to be with all the fans and thank them for their support and showing up, and that was really, really exciting.
I think everybody was happy for you guys, really happy for Greg Grissom because he's the one that has to sell everything. And I know right now, people are so fired up. I can't remember any time in Texans history that people were more fired up after an event than they are now. And so, Cal, I want to ask you, what is it like to get the kind of positive reaction from the fans, from the media? There was a buzz in the media, and we're negative and cynical and everything, but people were fired up as well. What's that like for you?
It's nice. It's nice. There has been some negativity. The media does tend to take a negative spin on things. We've been hard at work for the last several years getting to this place, and it's hard for everyone to see, but this is where, we've been working to get draft capital, working to get salary cap, working to get the right coach that has alignment with Nick, and we think we've got all those things in place, and we've been working hard to do that. And so when we hired D'Amico, I said, all right, D'Amico, the table is set for you. A lot of stuff has happened. We've worked hard to get here, and the table is set. Now let's go win. And but it's been really nice to have some good reviews, of course.
I remember you were really fired up after your first interview with D'Amico on Zoom. And what was that like, knowing that you had a chance to bring him back here? Every team wanted him. He turned down an interview with Carolina. He canceled interviews with Indianapolis and Arizona. He did do an interview with Denver, but knowing that everybody wanted him and you got him and it was such a popular decision, what was that like for you?
Well, we were a little bit nervous because we really did want him as we went through the process. And then I was talking to Hannah. I said, if we get at a bidding war with Walmart, I don't think we're going to win. But to D'Amico, he wanted to come back home. He enjoyed, our interview and getting to know Nick a little bit. Of course, he had known us. You know, we drafted him in '06, so I knew him quite well and had watched him play at Philly and watched him as he coached at San Fran and moved up along the coaching area. He started at the very bottom, worked his way up, and learned how to be a really great coach. We got a lot of great input from Coach Kubiak. I talked to him. He had talked to Coach Shanahan, and they both felt like the elder Shanahan felt like he was going to be a great candidate. So it was really fun when all the pieces came together. But at the end of the day, it was D'Amico's choice, and he wanted to be here and part of something to build and get to where he almost brought the team as a player. He wants to do that as a coach and take it to where we should be.
And he could have done a bidding war, but he didn't.
He chose not to. Yeah.
And after the news conference on Friday, you said something that was really interesting about the alignment of the way things are now. Tell people what you said about the alignment and the way the decisions were made.
I don't remember my exact words, but I'll tell you what it is. They are, Nick and D'Amico together, it's magnetic. Like when they're in the room together, you just know that they're on the same page. They like talking to each other. You know, they work. I've joked that we need to get them bunk beds at the stadium because they're like stepbrothers. You know, they're best friends. And just seeing them work together is something that is a dream for Cal. I know that through many years, he goes, man, you just know you have it right when you have the GM and the coach aligned. And we're finally here, and to see that happening and to see, you know, all his hard work come to fruition is wonderful to see.
We're excited. I don't know if you can tell, but we're really excited.
You should be. I think I've written and broadcast this, but I think people should know more that everybody thinks that you took over when your dad, Bob, the founder, died in November of 18. But the fact is, you took over while Bob was undergoing all his treatment. So your first team went 11-5. Your second team went 10-6. And you oversaw the organization at that point. And so now you get your franchise quarterback. And he couldn't come at a better time, C.J. Stroud. What was it like, the reaction, when you guys heard the fans, 7,000 fans down at Miller Outdoor Theater, cheer that selection of Stroud, and then kind of go hysterical when you traded back up to get Will Anderson?
Yeah, they really wanted the two players, and they figured out the best order in which to chase them. It was interesting, leading up to the draft, there were some writers and media folks that felt we really should take a quarterback or it would be a bad draft. So one could have been sitting over here. But we felt that, and at the Fan Fest, we were there before the draft, and it was overwhelming. The fans were saying, get us a quarterback. So we were glad that all worked out, and it was exciting. It was exciting in the draft room. They were excited at the Miller Outdoor Theater, and we talk about the 10 minutes where they were working the trade. You do a lot of Monte Carlo simulations about what's going to happen here and what's going to happen there. The first domino that had to fall was Carolina picking who they did, which everyone thought they would, but you don't really know until they make the selection. So once they made that, we knew we would go with the quarterback, and then they would try to trade up to get Will, the outside rusher. And there was a bit of back and forth, and it took the full 9 minutes, to work out a deal. And when Nick did it, the room just went crazy, and they had the Miller Outdoor Theater finally figured out what we were doing, and they went crazy. And so it was a lot of fun. It was an intense 9-10 minutes for sure.
These GMs know each other, so they know each other's breaking points. When Nick says, nope, not going to do it, sorry, boom. And we're just sitting there going, wait, is he going to call back? Please call back. Please call back. And then he does. We hear that phone ring, and Nick just goes, you get on the phone. You get on the phone. I'm talking to him. And you've got to get that approved by the league before.
Call it into the league.
But he already had everyone else on the phone with the guys they needed to have in, so he was turning it in basically before he got approval. We
no, he didn't.
1
He
minute.
turned it in
he got
simultaneously
approval.
to getting approval.
But it was exciting. It was, I think we had 1 minute left, and, you don't want to miss putting that in.
I'd like to point out something. There are people here around the country that think they gave up too much to get Will Anderson Jr., which is a crock. And when I see this written or broadcast, they don't point out that the Texans got the best defensive player, maybe the best player in Will Anderson Jr., and a fourth-round pick this year. And next year, they still have first, second, third-round picks. That's conveniently left out. So the Texans are in really good position next year, too. 9 picks, including 3 in the first 3 rounds. And so that should be exciting. That's why you stockpile draft choices. And you traded Watson for 3 number 1 picks, and you guys have allowed Nick Caserio to make those moves. And I think he's done a tremendous job. You went in the draft with 12 players. You came out, 12 picks, came out with 9. 7 of them are team captains. Now that shows they're leaders, their coaches respected them, their players respect them. I want to ask both of y'all, how important is character to you with your players?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. We really want to have high character players that love ball. There's a threshold where they have to be really good. But then beyond that, we really want to bring in good citizens that represent the team well, play well on the field, represent the city well, guys that are coachable. At the end of the day, I want them to be guys that everyone wants to buy their kid their number and their name on the back of their shirt, and they're proud of that. So that's really our goal. And win.
And I mean, there was a couple years ago, I think we had a quarterback that sat the bench, and Cal could have put him on that field and made him play, but it was not the character with which Cal wants our team.
When you got Stroud and Anderson in here, and y'all talked to him a lot, Will Anderson had been the first of the 30 prospects who can come in for pre-draft interviews, and they were so impressive and inspiring when they were talking to the media. What were they like for you guys behind the scenes?
Really impressive.
Really impressive young men, humble. They're wanting to come in and work. They're wanting to come in and earn their place. So we don't want to project them as franchise saviors or starting whatever, because we haven't taken a snap. We want them to come in and work hard, earn their spot on the team, which is what they want to do. They want to earn the respect of the locker room.
What is so incredible is that they came into that building together. It wasn't about one of them. Yeah. They came in together. They did every interview together. They did, they played with our kids. They were really into the boys and talking to the boys. Our daughter was a little shy, but I just thought that signified everything with which we're about. We're a team organization. It's not about one person. And so seeing them start this new year in this new D'Amico's era with coming in as a team, it just represents what we're all about.
And both are really big family people, and they view the locker room as part of their family, and they want to be part of the community family of Houston, and so they understand and grasp all those things that are important to us. So they're really going to be great additions to the team.
Okay, you drafted 7 other players after Stroud and Anderson, and you got some exciting players. Is there anybody that you're eager to see in particular?
I have to be a little careful because I'm excited about all of them. Our next pick had one of the best names is Juice, so that's awesome. The guy after that is a local guy here from Houston, and my wife's went to that school, so she really pulled for him. Tank, and he's an exciting player when he gets the ball in his hands. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with it, so that's really exciting for me.
For the media, he was like Damian Pierce last year. In his interview, he was great. He was funny. I did a column on him at the Combine, him talking about how much he wanted to play for the Texans, how much he wanted to stay in Houston. And I thought, well, they need a receiver or 2. You drafted 2. And it was like his dream come true. And he is so happy. Somebody asked him about being explosive. He said, I'm so explosive. Explosive ought to be my nickname. the dynamic between D'Amico and Nick Casario working together for the first time, Nick's had to work with a different head coach and a different offensive coordinator for 3 drafts in a row. After watching those two work together behind the scenes in ways that nobody else can see, what do y'all think about their relationship and the kind of start it's off to?
They're family. I mean,
Yeah, they're really,
it really, I don't know how to describe it other than we're finally here. We're finally at the spot where our GM and our coach are totally aligned. I mean, you talk about the interview with D'Amico, the Zoom. At the end of the Zoom, D'Amico, we asked D'Amico if there was anything else he would like us to know. And he talked for about 5 minutes and said, oh, gosh, does anybody want to follow that? And everybody kind of said, no, thank you, D'Amico, and hung up. Nick called us right back and goes, wow, like he was that, I mean, he felt it. We all felt it in that moment. And we had never seen Nick do that, so.
so one of the things that D'Amico ended with, he said, bring me home.
Bring me home.
He said it was his dream job.
Yeah.
And the fact that he turned down everybody else, one of the things, I'm not asking you to comment on this because I don't want to get you in trouble. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network said after the Texans interviewed D'Amico and he basically had agreed, the Broncos made another run at him. Well, that made Sean Payton look bad, so the Broncos totally denied it, but it was true. They did make another run at him, and that showed how highly thought of he was. We used to talk to him all the time when he played, and he was a good interview, always cooperative, but he's so inspiring now. How do y'all feel every time you've seen him speak publicly, the way he gets people so fired up?
Well,
Thankful he chose us.
right, exactly. Well, he's very authentic, and that's who he is. And he's been that way in high school. He was a captain in the college. He was a captain at Alabama. When he came here, it wasn't long before he was captain. His nickname is Cap. We were talking about his kids and how they're going to look forward to playing some baseball because it's baseball season. And he played baseball. I said, what did you play? He said, I played catcher because I was a captain. So it's just who he is. He's very authentic, and people can see that and really gravitate towards it.
The column I'm writing today is about everything that you guys have put in to turning the corner, and the corner has been turned. You got to play, of course, but people are so fired up I'm talking about the media, to go to a rookie mini camp, OTAs, off-season program. What is it like for you guys right now to own the Texans personally? What is it like for y'all?
Exciting. We're excited about the future, where we're going. Like you say, we have this year is going to be a very competitive year. Next year we have a full draft, plus more salary cap room. So the future is really bright for us, and we're hoping for a long runway. And we go to work every day, whether we win, lose, or draw, and we better love what we're doing, and we do, because there are some business cycles in this, and you'll see this at different teams. Sometimes they'll be up, they'll call it a window, and the window closes, and you got to be able to withstand those. And we have a great business side that does a great job keeping things pretty level. So that keeps us going, but we're really excited about the future and where we're headed.
Hoping to make the city proud, really, because that's why we do it, and we love it. But seeing the fans, seeing the city come together, that's what it's all about. I mean, the reason Bob brought the team to Houston was because he saw a hole in the heart of Houston. And so we'll just continue to pour into the community and hope that we make them proud with all the work that we've done and are doing and will do.
Let me ask you one more thing. Your dad, Houston was so important to him. He used to say, I'm a Houston homer. I want whatever is good for Houston. And it seems like you guys have carried that mantle that Bob brought in here about being all about Houston. How important is that to y'all?
Houston, well, we were both born here, raised here. can't pry us out of here. We love Houston and all the opportunities it's given, for everyone. Houston is a city that has open arms compared to a lot of other places. There's lots of opportunities here, and we just love being here and being part of the fabric of Houston.
Well, I think everybody here would wish you guys good luck based on what's happened in free agency and the draft, with more moves to come when it comes to players. And so thank you for joining us today. Thank you for letting me interview you. I will not ask you for a record. Everybody asks me that, and I tell them if you could double your win total, that would be good, but I don't want to put any more pressure on you. Thank you guys.
Progress.
I just
Progress.
want to win the next game.